Hi guys, so I'm here, I've been working with some of the student ambassadors from a couple schools, and I gotta say before they come out, in 10 years of training, they're the best kids I've worked with. They really are. They were right engaged. No wonder they are what they are in their schools, and we need more of them out there in the schools. I don't know if every school is doing this, but I think it's awesome because they're going back and teaching things to the kids, getting everyone active. So let's bring them out, and then we're gonna put you guys through a little workout. Get you moving. Yeah. Yay. Woo! So they're gonna come out front, and I'm gonna kind of help lead them, but they know the moves we're doing. We've met, and I put them through a workout. They all did awesome. Oh, okay. Hello? Ooh. So first I want to say our training that we're going to do today, I'm going to warm you guys up a little bit, then we're going to do some different activities here. We're going to go 6 different rounds, a minute of each, and everyone's doing it. Even all you guys at your booths, you're going to stand up, come outside of your booth. We're getting you involved in this too, but it's all from the core out. I want to say one thing, because I've been listening to the speakers and you guys were awesome. But we need to get our kids more aware of our core. What are our core, guys? I showed you. What is it? Yeah, your abs, your back, your glute muscles, your butt, your legs. So we need to get them understanding their core, because when your core is strong, greatness builds outwards, right? We got these 4 limbs. They're all attached to our core. So when your core is strong, you're gonna do everything better. Your quality of life, every sport, everything you do is gonna be better. Because kids like this are coming to me at 30 and 40 saying, I have a bad back, or I have this strained, or I hurt myself in soccer or basketball in high school. Well, we can prevent them from getting hurt. We have to teach them about core training. That's why I go to schools. I like to volunteer my time to any school, any day of the week, to come out and teach them about their core training and why it's important. So, everybody up. Let's go. Come on. Heels that just march. All right. Let's just jog a little bit, get moving. I like this one better, it's louder.
Give me a chance.
Okay, so jog a little on spot, now go side to side a little, left to right. Get you out of your chairs, moving. So your abs are always tight and engaged when you're doing your workouts, right? Okay, watch don't hit anyone, guys. A couple jumping jacks. Let's go, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, couple stretches. Let's go to the side a little. Stretch out your core from your day. Other side. Essentially, you want to hold your stretches 30, 40 seconds each stretch. But we're going a little quicker. I'm on a timeline, I think. So we're running. So when they good job.
Hi everybody, it's a wonderful opportunity to talk to you at the end of such an interesting evening, and certainly gives me an opportunity to kind of wrap up all the pieces that you've heard tonight. Certainly what I've learned from looking at the material on how we can help our children to become resilient, it's very clear that physical activity, good eating habits, and keeping an active lifestyle are all part of resiliency. So let's talk a little bit about what resiliency is as a concept. Really what we know is that a resilient person, whether a child or an adult, is somebody who can recover after a stress. So it isn't a finite concept, it's the ability to bounce back. So if you think about it in your own life, it doesn't mean that you didn't have any stress. You can be resilient to unfathomable stresses. So what we need to think about is, what are the qualities that help our children to be resilient, to be able to bounce back from the stresses of life? One of the things that we know for our kids is that they're forever having to deal with changes in family, changes in school, changes in friendship group and expectations. And the resilient individual is able to adapt to changes. Resilient kids, when we look at kids that really seem to be able to bounce back from stress, we notice that they're very good communicators. So these are people who can share their feelings, can talk to people about the feelings of the others around them, can take on a challenge and problem solve with others. They have healthy relationships with adults as well as with peers. If we think then about what's good mental health, and you start to see the linkages between being a resilient individual at any age and having good mental health. And qualities of good mental health include things like being able to be balanced across our whole life in that holistic health manner. So people who have good mental health, like the resilient person, are able to balance taking care of their lives in all sorts of ways. So they're making sure that they're intellectually stimulated and they're learning all the time across the lifespan, and they look after their emotional needs and they care for their friendships, and they're physically active, as we've heard so much about today. They also look at sleep hygiene, getting proper amounts of sleep and eating well. And they also have a realistic perception of their own strengths and weaknesses. So when we talk to parents about helping their children to have good mental health and to be resilient individuals, we're not encouraging parents to never share with their child that maybe they didn't do the absolute best thing right then. But it's trying to give children the message that they have strengths, and even when you make a mistake, it doesn't mean you're a bad person or a total failure, that you can bounce back from that, learn from it, and move on, turn to other people for help. So the resilient and the people with good mental health share many common characteristics. So if we look at the mentally healthy child, that's a child who can talk about their own strengths, who can reach out to others, who can find a support, whether an adult or a friend. It's a person who is aware of their own feelings and is aware of other people's feelings, who can take a perspective and care about the feelings of others. They can actively solve problems in their relationships. All of these are qualities that help you to bounce back when you encounter a problem. So if we think about the connection then again between being resilient and having good mental health, we can see that those key qualities are being able to identify your own strengths, to express your emotions, and to be attuned to the emotions of others, to be able to be an active problem solver and to communicate, and to work in partnership with others, and to form friendships and peer relationships and good relationships with adults who you can trust. One of the things that's really positive for parents, because of course the message I'm going to give parents in the room and teachers in the room is that we play a key role in developing resiliency in our children. Resilience isn't a static quality, so it's not like eye color or color of hair, although I suppose my hair changes color pretty routinely. It's a quality that relates over your lifespan and can be influenced for the better or for the worse. So what we talk about is that there are risk factors and protective factors that influence the level of resilience and the level of mental health that children experience in their world. The risk factors are things like poverty, family breakdown, deaths of important people in the family, significant learning disabilities on the part of the child, parent mental health problems. So there are certainly risk factors that all of our families encounter over the lifespan of their children. But what we do know is that even being exposed to those risk factors, and even to many of those risk factors, does not mean that a child can't be resilient. I'm going to give up on trying to remember to switch my slides. What we do know is that the risk factors can decrease resiliency, and they can really debilitate a child's mental health. What we do need to think about is what are the protective factors, and what can we do to enhance those protective factors. One of the interesting things that we've learned is that even in lives that are full of risk factors, so children who are growing up in countries where war is going on all the time, where family members are being picked off the street, there are factors that act as buffers to even those extreme risk factors. And the same thing applies in our lives here with our children. Those protective factors will enhance mental health and will also really increase resiliency and ability to bounce back. The protective factors come from within the child, within the family, and within the community. So if you think about what kinds of individual characteristics children have that increase their resilience and increase their mental health, there'll be things like ability to learn, to adapt, social skills, physical health, positive thinking. So you can see how that connects so intensely to what the other people tonight have talked to you about, both in terms of the role of physical activity, coaches, teachers, and parents in modeling those coping skills to enhance the individual strengths of the child. When we think about meaningful protective factors from the environment, research really looks at the role of relationship, and that's the other thing, the other thing that the people tonight have talked about. So a coach, somebody who's engaging with you, one of the things that we need to look at is ways in which we can help our kids to have a relationship with a supportive adult. So it doesn't need to be a family member. I know we often live in situations where our family members and extended family members live far away from us. So it could indeed be a meaningful relationship with a teacher, a coach, somebody who the child trusts and who gives the child a message of high expectations and recognition of their value as a person. So you can see that those protective factors include also the ability to have meaningful participation, and that's something that we saw happen tonight with the student ambassadors. There was a big, huge study done looking at resiliency in children and the factors that both enhance it and reduce it by a woman who looked at international data. So this was looking at children from all across the world experiencing tremendous variability in terms of those risk factors. And she did a really good job for, I think, us as parents and teachers to kind of encapsulate what those variables are that influence mental health and resilience. So she talked about I have, I am, and I can factors. So if you think about it from the point of view of a child, I have means I have people around me who I can trust, people who will set limits for me so I feel safe. So in other words, the message to us as parents and teachers isn't that we always have to say it's okay. There need to be limits and expectations. People who want me to learn and will show me how to learn, and people who will help me when I'm sick or when I don't feel safe. So those are important I have factors that parents and teachers provide children. I am are those variables that have to do with the child's opinion of themselves. So I'm someone that people like. I'm able to do good things for other people. I'm respectful of myself and of other people. I'm able to believe things will turn out okay in my life, and I'm able to take responsibility for my own actions. Those were all qualities of children across the globe who were identified as being able to cope and be resilient and bounce back from stress. And then finally, the I can factors. Those are factors that the child knows about themselves in terms of being active problem solvers in their world. So seeing that they're capable people, I can figure out how to solve problems. I know who I can go to talk to when I'm troubled. I can count on finding somebody to help me. I can maintain control over my own behavior. So I take responsibility for me and I'm in charge of me. Those were all qualities that were identified from Africa to the Middle East to North America as being qualities that define the resilient child. If we look at then how we might want to try and enhance those protective factors and kind of what the role is for parents and other adults in doing that with children, they're the key things that we know when we're trying to be the best parent we can be, really. making sure that we're sensitive to differences in temperament in our children, so we don't expect the same kinds of coping skills automatically from each child. Helping our kids be more aware of their feelings, modeling doing that, modeling social skills, nurturing friendships, not ridiculing our kids and using sarcasm, providing a safe and consistent home and school environment. So those are those key things that we know that are part of being a responsible, decent adult with kids in whatever caring role you have with children. A key aspect is to model coping with problems. So one of the things the literature looks at is the fact that, once again, we don't give our kids the message that the world is always going to be smooth and that there aren't going to be problems and setbacks, but we give them the message that there's a way of solving those problems and that they have an opportunity to see the adults in their world doing that in a planful way. Sure, there'll be emotions shown, but we're modeling to our kids that yes, you experience that negative emotion, but you learn how to deal with it and you move forward and come up with a coping-based problem-solving approach rather than just a calamitous, I give up kind of response. When there's a problem, we resist the urge as parents and as teachers to kind of catastrophize, because catastrophizing gives the message that a problem is bigger than the individual's capacity to cope. So family affects resilience, as does school, and as I've outlined, family does it through parenting style, which are the variables I've talked about, through the way in which the parents work together, whether they're living together or they're apart, to try to model partnering and problem solving together, and the way in which the parent helps the child to access those positive activities outside of the home. So it's back to things like supporting your child to be physically active, to get involved with teams and other kids, whether it's sports teams or other activities that enhance the kid's own strengths. And how we as parents cope with those other adults. As you bring your child out into the world, it's always a challenge for us to expose our kids to other adults. We know we need to do it as we help to support their strengths. But if you become the parent who, when your child has a problem in one of those other activities, you, without pausing and thinking, leap into criticism and antagonism in relationship to that other adult, you know the message you're giving your child is not one that will enhance resilience or coping skills or mental health, because we know now what those qualities need to be. So we have to model resolving conflicts cooperatively, trying to figure out what's the child's responsibility, giving the child the message that you'll help them figure it out and solve the problem together with them. What we see can sometimes be a problem in families as we're stressed as a family and in our current society, is a tendency for us to become very focused on being very busy and focusing our energies on activities that are outside of the family, not involving ourselves in playing with our children. So one of the things I would really encourage people to think about is the value of play, and we've heard somebody else talk about that today. It isn't enough to just book a play date for your child and deposit your child, but we need to think about how we play together with our children and what they're learning from us about continuing to have fun and enjoy life throughout their lifespan. We need to think a little bit about school, and the schools in Windsor are working very hard to become environments that focus not only on excellent education and learning, but also on development of people skills and the resiliency that comes with that. So certainly schools' emphasis on respect for diversity, respect for other cultures, discussion of values, focusing on helping kids to develop leadership roles like our student ambassadors today, including kids, helping kids to identify whatever strengths they have so that they can participate in some way meaningfully with an adult in the school, can make a huge difference in the life of a child. The research talks about kids identifying that despite bullying they may experience in their neighborhoods, despite family issues that are very troubling to them, they need, if they have that one adult in the school environment, sometimes the secretary, the school janitor, a particular teacher, a coach, who will take that special time with them, and for whom the relationship is not just about a skill the child can deliver in that setting, but about the value of that child as a human being. So that sincere relationship and genuine appreciation of the contribution of that child as an I am, a person, can make a huge difference in the resilience and the mental health of the child. And I think, you guys, that is the end. And thank you so much for your patience.